My name is Ralph Thomas, and I'll be 66 years old on the 21st of October. And I'm living in Largo, Florida for 2.5 years, an ex-New Yorker. And I'm so happy to be here in Largo because it's an entirely new life. It's a different world here completely. I went over there at 24, which was a little bit late. Basically, I spent my time in a place called Chu Lai, which is on the seacoast. And I went there at a time that my Army division was just being formed. It was a small base originally, I believe, for Marines and Navy. And then all of a sudden, it was going to be the headquarters area for the 23rd Infantry, the Americal Division. So when we got there, it was quite primitive, but we did have wooden houses. The big difference was the heat and the red earth. The dust and the sand and the earth was very reddish. And when I went through my first monsoon season, was I amazed. It would rain so hard that if you put your arm out like that, you could only see about that far. And then everything else disappeared in this gray wall of water. And it would rain so hard that the earth would not actually change to mud as you know it, but it would be much more like syrup flowing over. If you poured it over a cake or something, the way it flows down, well, that's the way the mud would be. So about 1.5 years over there, but I was kind of behind the lines. I didn't have to see all of what was going on over there. I saw some of it. And I would tell you the most difficult part about it was running into people that you knew from basic training or from infantry school. And they would tell you about buddies that got killed, got wounded. And I met 2 people from my infantry school. I can't remember if it was basic training or infantry school that I knew them from, but they had spent the whole year out in the field. They had about 2 weeks to go, and I heard through the grapevine that neither one of them made it, with only 2 weeks to go. And you carry, I'm going to say guilt, that you come home and you're fine, and you had so many friends whose lives were changed forever, or they no longer are living. Well, I had a chance to be in a helicopter flying over the Mekong River Delta, and to see all those rivers spreading out in a sunset is something I will never forget. And I was in a small chopper, and the pilot was just a 2-seater and unarmed. It was an observation chopper. And the pilot decided, well, let's play Go Between the Trees. So at about 150 miles an hour, we're going through the trees, you know, which was really exciting because I like roller coasters today. But after we landed and I got out of that thing, my stomach caught up to me about 40 minutes later. You know, that was really exciting. Another night, we had what's called sappers get into our base camp. And again, here we are on guard duty at the other end of the camp, and we're lying on top of our bunkers, of course. And the next thing you know, the ammunition dump blew up. And it was the first time I was ever around a huge explosion. And what was so unusual about it was there was it was brighter than daylight. In fact, some of the guys were yelling, "Nuke, nuke." But there was this light that stayed on for the longest time, brighter than sunlight. And then you started to hear the explosion build, you know. People describe an explosion as like ka-boom. Well, you heard the separate ka, and then the boom. Then you felt the earth tremble. And then we threw on our helmets and everything because stuff started flying down from the air. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, no one was killed. but it just showed that, you know, we were vulnerable.
Yeah.
And, you know, after 42 years, the way you tell something might not be quite the way it
Right.
happened after that length.